I'm here at Ray's Indoor Mountain Bike Park having a fireside chat with Grace Was a Jinx, aka Jessica Ausec. Jessica is one of the people in BMX who's an OG lady shredder that I have yet to have an interview with. So I thought we should probably do this. Because I've talked to Corey, talked to Nina, talked to Kim, haven't talked to you. So I kind of like in BMX that I don't know a lot about some people. So can you just first fill me in a little bit on like your history in BMX?
Oh my gosh. So I was just reminded today that my first girls BMX trip was in 2004.
20 years ago.
I know. And I said 15, and that's when I got called out on it because I didn't want to admit that I was old.
Bethany was -2.
She made a noise about it. She was like, oh. 2004. Went on my first girls BMX trip.
So, did you start riding because you saw another lady riding, or did you just organically start because of another reason?
I worked at an auto shop, and there was a guy that always would come by and get his bike fixed, and he was into hip-hop, I was into hip-hop, so we actually got together to spin records, and I was like, what's up with that bike? And it kind of was history from there, because I rode his bike around a skate park, and then he had a bunch of spare parts. My crank arms were 2 different sizes on my first frame, and it was janky and terrible, and I still fell in love with it, so that was it. But I will say that really close around that time, Nina had an interview in a ride magazine, and then randomly I met her around that same time, so it was like pretty quick that I was able to meet a female rider.
I was literally about to ask how long it was before you
it was Interbike. I want to say like around that first year is the first Interbike that I went to as well, and Nina ended up meeting up with another girl that was in Colorado that I was friends with but didn't get to see all the time. And we all just went out to Vegas together. So it was pretty soon after that I got to meet her. It's a tiny scene, or it was a tiny scene in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, Nina told me about how she used to say that she just pretended like the guys with long hair were chicks. Like, I mean, back then there was a few of you in the entire country, so...
Yeah, I want to say there was probably maybe 10.
So what's your experience learning how to ride and everything with no other ladies around back then?
I will say that I had Denver, Colorado just has an amazing BMX scene, and I will say that I was very fortunate to have a bunch of really amazing riders around me that, since there was no influence of like the internet and stuff like that in comparison, really badass riders were a norm for me, so I progressed, I would say, fairly quickly because I didn't know that was not a norm to be that incredible of a bike rider. Because like I grew up riding with like Troy McMurray and I mean just like a bunch of like really cool local Denver riders that are still killing it, are still amazing.
So this has nothing to do with women's BMX, but what was the scene in skate parks like? Because I know people talk today about how Colorado, Denver specifically is like insane for skate parks. So like 20 plus years ago, what's it like back then?
Well, we had Denver Skate Park, which was, I think, everybody's local. There was a ton of street. It was a lot of street. So even though we did have like a couple local parks, it was a lot of like meeting up at Denver Skate Park and just going to ride street like around town and stuff like that until all hours of the night. So
that's cool.
It was cool. I think that just like anywhere you go, you can definitely see the influence of the main rider that was there. And I think just having like somebody like Troy McMurray who like rides everything as our influence, we were really fortunate to be able to dabble with so many different types of riding.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we did have a couple really cool parks, but definitely like street A lot of dudes rode dirt. I didn't really ride dirt as much. I'm kind of scared of it, but.
So in all of my other interviews talking with Nina and Corey and everybody, I asked them kind of about what it was like to progress and learn in BMX with pretty much nothing but dudes around until those special moments in time where you planned out a trip and you went and rode with another lady. Like, what was your personal experience?
So I was very fortunate in the small group of people that I wasn't seen any differently, and I think that's why I progressed very quickly at the beginning. But that was also the time. I don't want to date myself.
You don't have to. It was 2018.
It was just last year. But MySpace started becoming popular, and like YouTube started becoming popular and stuff like that. So there was just more of a reach. I don't know how to phrase this. There was a little point in time where it was a little bit cool to be mean to girls that rode, and I will say that when we traveled more, we saw that quite a bit, and we had to learn to have a little bit of a thicker skin. I last night was applauding like the thick skin of like Corey and Nina and Angie, because they protected me personally from seeing some of the comments that were just really really hurtful, you know. It was really cool to just vibe out women in general. It was definitely a boys club. A lot of riding with headphones whenever we travel and stuff really helped. But there was definitely some contests that like I had flat tires at.
Seriously?
And like there was a contest actually like 4 seasons. It was years ago, but I was like airing the quarter and somebody like stuck out their back wheel so that I'd like buck and told me I shouldn't be there and I should be in the kitchen. Fortunately, shout out Kevin Porter, he's putting on that, and he kicked him out pretty quick afterwards. So there was still like a lot of love, but there was definitely like, it was different because now I'm so happy to know that girls can go to any park, and for the most part, there's not like a vibe out, there's not like I mean, it's still going to be competitive, but it's not like malicious, if you will. And I remember coming into parks being like, am I okay here? Is it going to be chill? Is it going to be weird? And I feel like just the amount of support that women have in the scene now is incredible. And a lot of it has to do with their thick skin, you know, like how amazing they are at like kind of combating that and keeping everybody strong.
Yeah, I was just going to say that really is a testament to the fact that the right women started all of it, because experiencing the things you just talked about could make anyone just quit easily, just not even want to ride anymore. And so the fact that Nina and Angie and Corey and you and everyone who was riding back then in the lady scene were able to stick it out, and I mean literally, if you couldn't have done that, BMX for women would be different right now.
And I think the beautiful thing is we really tried hard to stick together. So it was like when there was something going on, we really tried hard to like just kind of keep that glue together and kind of come in as like a unit, as opposed to like, oh, do you think you can hit this contest because it's closer to you? It was like, no, let's all go. And it was kind of just, it made it a little bit easier because like Jomo Pro was the first time I rode that contest, it was against all guys. Like they didn't have a girls class. And it was cool because then the next year they were like, hey, do you want to maybe get some more girls out there? And so that was really cool because then we were able to kind of start going places as a unit, and you started seeing girls classes pop up everywhere, and that was really cool to see because you started, all of a sudden these girls started coming out of the woodwork, and we'd have like, you know, even though it was only like 10, it was still something, you know. And then Metro Jam in 2006, Stacy Mulligan too, I have to say. She was actually here this weekend. I don't know if you saw her. But she used to ride for like McNeil, same time that Nina did, so like 2006. And they had the Vancouver Metro Jam, and they had their first like girls class. And that was a big contest. So that was really, really cool to.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So when you think about how things were when you first started to today, I mean, what even...
I'm not gonna lie, I get a little sappy and teary-eyed, you know, of how much people embrace women everywhere, and how they really are able to just, they have a strong energy now, and I love that women can, like, I'm not going to say none, but a lot of girls will never feel that what I felt, and I'm proud of kind of sticking through that, because I still have to struggle with it, you know, even like just going to like a regular skate park, I'm like, oh, is everything okay? And I'm like, of course it's okay. It's 20 years later, you know. But being able to see how much they're embraced and like respected, and how fast they can progress given that positivity is incredible, you know, just to watch that kind of happen.
And now we have 9-year-old girls doing like crazy stuff. I mean, that's gotta feel cool to watch too.
It is really cool to watch, and just like, I mean, even watching Bethany, like knowing that she was just this tiny little thing when I saw her, and now it's like, dude, I'm like, you're killing it.
She's traveling the world.
I mean, it was a tie, but she has beat you in bike, so.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said that 20 years ago, you know, and it's because of the fact that we really embrace just a person for who they are, as opposed to like seeing it as much as gender. They're just a bike rider, and that was all we were asking for. Yeah. And it took a long time, and it took a lot of like just persevering through it. So it just goes to show how strong women really are, quite honestly.
Well,
you know,
not to take anything away from that, but we are all people. We're all still people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, we are still people, and that's the way everyone should look at it. Like what you're saying, it shouldn't be women BMX riders, men BMX riders. It should just be BMX riders. And one day, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I still find value in kind of identifying them as that but I think a lot of it is because I identify with that struggle, you know, of like, I'm proud to watch them be able to do what they do.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, it's because of the hard work that the women did before that, and I don't want to take away from that or negate it, but it is a little bit, it is more of like a camaraderie, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know what word I was thinking of. Camaraderie works though.
And I wasn't trying to take anything away from it either. Just saying, like, there will come a day where there isn't a line where you can see the difference anymore, and it's going to be crazy when that day comes.
It really is amazing seeing how little of a time women have had a more equal opportunity, and how fast they've progressed within that time. Yeah. And yeah, there will be a point, very much so.
Crazy to think about, but
really
I mean, it makes sense. It does make sense, and I've said for years now, it has been way more fun to watch the women progress than it has been the men, because the men's side of things, when progression happens, it's so incremental and like on a crazy technical level of like adding or changing one little thing into something. But with the women, it's Charlotte doing a 360 backflip in the Olympics that nobody but her and the team knew was even going to happen. And that is sweet.
It is really cool. And it's really cool it's still such a small community, because watching the Olympics, and I'm just like, that's my friend, I can text her and tell her how great of a job she did. And it's like, it's still really small, and it's so nice to just have so many friends interconnected. There's no other sport that's ever going to be like that, you know?
Nope.
So.
Nope. I've been having that conversation a lot lately. Music is the closest thing that comes close, but music doesn't have a danger factor the way BMX does. So it's never going to be quite the same. But yeah, I mean, when you started, did you ever have thoughts of where things could end up with women's BMX, or were you just riding?
I think there was always like a point. You always think about it, but it's not something that was like an end game. Like, I want to see this in the Olympics, or I want to see girls doing really big, gnarly tricks. It's like, I think, and sadly, I think a lot of it was survival mode of like, dude, I just really want to ride my bike safely, you know? So I think we were taking it one day at a time and just kind of like going through the motions of like, I mean, we're still bike riders, so it's like, and not every day do you think like, what is going to happen in the future, you know? But you definitely think of like, can I please just land this trick without having another bruise on my hip?
Yeah, I mean, when do any of us think 20 years into the future at all? So it does make sense.
Yeah.
But it's wild to see, and that's why I love getting insight from people like you who were there at the very beginning.
I would have never imagined the actual trajectory of women's BMX and how cool it has gotten.
Yeah.
I think most of the time it was more of like, I just want to ride and be friends with people and like just enjoy my time, take it easy. But the fact that there are so many opportunities now is just really incredible. So
yeah,
cool to see.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, there's women who have frames and
colorways, yeah.
They're pro riders for different companies, and I don't know, it's amazing to see.
Growing up, watching them grow up as well is really, really cool, because I might be a little bit older than some of them. So watching them just be like little babies that are just, you know, barely jumping something to all of a sudden being like on the top is pretty amazing, you know? It's like watching your kid grow up.
That's what I was going to say. Lily Voss just walked by. I remember when Lily was like real little, entered her first contest.
She's not still real
She's
little.
still tiny. So I'm saying like 15 years from now, she, if she sticks with it, is going to be the one who's where Bethany is right now.
It is so cool to know that she is growing up in an environment that supports and embraces who she is.
Yeah.
It is really amazing to see, for sure.
Said before, say it a million times, BMX is the best thing ever. It's that simple.
Yep.
With that, I don't know. Where do we see it? Where's it going to be in 20 years? Can we even fathom it?
I barely even made it to these 20 years.
That's fair.
I don't know.
So, on that note, I don't know. Women's Weekend at Rays is an awesome thing. Sounds like everything went well, and
it was awesome. And I think it was actually the most amount of BMX girls that we had was this year, which is really, really cool. There was a lot of them.
That's awesome.
So that was really cool to see.
So for anyone watching who might be when they're starting riding, maybe they've been riding for a little while, they're watching this video, hearing what an OG has to say, what do you say to them?
What do I say?
What do you say to the Bethanies that were from 10 years ago who might be watching this right now?
There will always be people who support you, even quietly, and never forget that, no matter who is telling you to quit. You will always have an opportunity if you continue following your heart, and I know that sounds corny and cliche, but it 100% is true. Just like keep doing what you love doing, and you will find people that will support you through everything.
Absolutely. And come to Women's Weekend next year.
Definitely come to Women's Weekend. And why weren't you here this weekend?
Exactly. So, thank you. And tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Grace was a jinx. It's a weird underscore. Maybe you can plug it in at the bottom.
It's right there.
Yeah, come find me. Come follow me. Watch me grind stuff.
Yeah, where are you local to again?
Right now I'm in Oklahoma City, but I'm originally from Denver, Colorado.
So if people are in, there's a lady coming through Oklahoma City, should she hit you up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll show her a good time.
Make sure you do that. Check her out on the internet, and we'll see you tomorrow for another video. Goodbye.
Bye.
You know what happens at the end of my videos? People hit the camera, as we say. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.